This podcast is a part of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed may not reflect those of other podcasts or affiliates of this show or Gonna Geek. Check out other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Get ready, because the geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance level 10. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents of equal or higher security clearance.
And now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Agent Lauren.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. San Diego Comic-Con panel of Agent Carter 2014. We are a fan-based podcast on the television show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the general Marvel Universe.
Because nothing goes over our heads. Our reflexes are too quick, we would catch it.
We also have a lot of contact information if you want to get a hold of us.
Yes, we do. We have our website, legendsofshield.com. Our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. It's 844-843-2871. You can find us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast on Facebook, at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Twitter, legendsofshield.tumblr.com on Tumblr, and we have forums available at forums.gonnageek.com, or you can search Gonna Geek on the Tapa Talk app.
Yes, good ways to get a hold of us, and we have been conversing with you all on all of them, so that's great. Say, we got some feedback from our last podcast, particularly, 2 podcasts ago, the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast that we did on our parent podcast, I guess is the best way to call it, which gives me shivers, Legends podcast. Our consultant, Wing, said we gave Guardians of the Galaxy a big love fest. Really, Wing?
Well,
really?
What's not to love?
And they had a problem. Hey, Beef and Op, they're like, hey, speak for yourself, Frenchie. So thank you, Beef and Op.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Yes. Now, Wing.
Isn't it nice being right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
See how good it feels?
I feel all warm and fuzzy. Yeah. So, first of all, I have a big question for you, Wing. Film school, what were your grades, sir? I need to see them because I can't imagine any film student would give this a downgraded. He only
show us the papers.
He only gave this thing an entertaining plus. Although they did change the rating during the podcast to awesome versus entertaining plus. So there you go. And I have to say, I was not overly loving fest of Guardians of the Galaxy. I did point out my issue with Nebula and the villains in general. So there you go. And Wing, you yourself said Haley came up with the perfect drinking game. Yes, she did. Anytime anybody gets tased, take a drink. It's perfect video. And so you, sir, yourself said that. And what is up with you wanting Beef's accoutrements? What is wrong with you? That's just wrong. That was not anything cool. That was not a Rocket Raccoon cool thing there. That was just, his do you know where those things have been? You call it a recycled plot. I will argue that, any trope like this, planet's in danger, gotta save it. Okay, well, of course it's recycled, but this is Guardians. This was completely new. Nobody had ever seen it before on screen. So there.
It had a raccoon with a gun and a talking tree. Come on.
He doesn't like things that are fun.
He does not.
Oh. And then lastly, I have to say to all three of you, making fun of my name, Star Pie, say what you want about my name. At least I podcast with 2 other wonderful ladies, and our podcast is not a pathetic sausage fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that. Oh, and then, of course, we go to the GonnaGeek.com forum, and for the record, Wing, you put your list of favorite Marvel movies, and he prefaces by saying, you can start screaming now. Well, yes, let's all scream.
We will. Yes.
Haley, go ahead.
All right. Well, he's got Cap 2 at the top, which, yeah, it's obviously going to be at the top. It's in everyone's top 3, top 4 at least.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Iron Man.
All right.
Makes perfect sense. Number 3, The Incredible Hulk.
Say what?
And the bafflement continues. Number 4, Iron Man 3.
What?
I am making a suspicious face.
Number 5, Captain America. 6, Thor 2. 7, Thor. Number 8, Avengers.
Blasphemy.
I just don't get that.
And then number 9, Iron Man 2. Somebody take away Wing's crackpipe. We'll get him into a program. We're going to get him back.
I'm sure they have free programs up there in Canardia because they have free medicine.
Yeah. I mean, this is, the first step is admitting you have a problem. We can walk you through the program. Those don't make any sense.
No, none at all.
Mean, there's 3 movies in particular that stand out as being obviously in the wrong spot. Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 3 being that close to the top, and Avengers being that close to the bottom.
See, Iron Man 3, I don't even have that much of a problem with being close to the top. It's Incredible Hulk being that close to the top and Avengers being that close to the bottom that just baffle me. And I'm not saying Incredible Hulk's a bad movie. I'm just saying that the others are all really, really good.
Well, wait a minute. It's not just about us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Legends Podcasts. As much as we want to say it is all about us, it is not indeed all about us.
You're positive about that?
Well, I'll speak for myself there, okay? But there's got to be a way to poll the entire planet on how they feel about these movies.
Right. Well, what I did is I checked Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, you did?
Yes, and everyone usually agrees pretty well with their ranking of movies, much better than like IMDb or something like that.
They have those great percentages of tomatoes, right?
Yeah. So I compiled all that data into a single list, and they put Iron Man as number 1.
Fair enough.
Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers had the same rating, so they're tied for the number 2 spot.
Can't argue.
Number 4 would go to Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Fair
and
enough.
then that's pretty much everybody's top 4, and they're all grouped pretty tightly.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to this middle 3 that are separated by 2%. So number 5 is Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 6, Iron Man 3. Number 7, Thor. And then we go towards the bottom, number 8 is Iron Man 2. Number 9 is Incredible Hulk. And then at the bottom is Thor the Dark World.
I don't get
that
the
one.
Dark World.
For me, I would, if you switched Thor the Dark World and Iron Man 3, I think it would be more correct. But that's just me.
Probably. Now, I did put Guardians, and I have not had a chance to see it a second time. Just been too busy. I do want to get to it, hopefully this weekend with my son, Sandrock. But I did put Guardians of the Galaxy down at 6. But that's just because I think the 1 through 6 are really, really close, right? I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm not saying it's Incredible Hulk or Iron Man 3 or whatever. But I can go with this. This is good. And it is totally not Wing. Wing, I mean, come on, man.
The internet agrees with us. You're wrong.
Yeah. And Beef, just got to say, love the way you threw the quotes into the podcast. Really enjoyed it. If you have not heard Legends podcast on Guardians of the Galaxy, first of all, make sure you listen to our podcast on Guardians of the Galaxy first, because we're right. And
we came out first. So, copycats.
And then you can go listen to Legends podcast on Guardians of the Galaxy and see just how wrong Wing really is. So, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, how did they do? It's been out for just a little over 2 weeks now, right?
Right. We're recording on Thursday, August 14th, and right now Guardians of the Galaxy has $193 million in the domestic box office and $330.6 million worldwide.
With a production budget of $170, they made their cash and more. Although I've heard that the advertisement budget or the marketing budget is not included in that production budget.
Okay, then I'd imagine it's like twice that.
Yeah. So
because I know I saw ads for it everywhere.
Yeah, and then plus the 17-minute preview and all the TV spots and just all the promotion that they did before the movie came out. I remember Kevin Smith had a podcast running for a while. I can't remember what it's called right now, but for a while there, like every week or so while he was in production of Red State, he would bring somebody in to talk about some aspect of filmmaking. And for a while there, he was talking about this is how people calculate how a film makes back its money and stuff like that. And whenever they tell you production budget was this, they don't include advertising.
Right. So I just don't know how much the advertising budget was, and we'll see. They got to be getting close, though, to making pure profit. So we'll see exactly.
I would think with the worldwide box office, they've got to be in the black by now.
Right. So we'll just see basically at this point in time how close they get to that Avengers or Captain America 2 number or whatever. So also, we actually got a voicemail this week.
Hey.
Remember, we've been calling for voicemails about our contest about Coulson's badge. I actually have a Coulson's badge and the identification number in a little leather pouch. You've seen it on our Twitter feed and on Facebook. Lauren, did you put it on Tumblr yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I need to.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, put it on Tumblr. By the time this podcast comes out, you probably have already seen it on our Tumblr feed. So we've been asking for voicemails to compete for it.
Right.
And we actually got one. So here we go.
Hey, this is a fan of the show, Willie Nelson. Yes, my parents had a sense of humor. Well, I'm going to say, he's not all that wrong all the time. I mean, he's still learning the lore and all of that. But there's one thing that does bug me. Is when he calls the end credit scene the shawarma scene. It just hits me the wrong way. It's just the stinger. That has a better, shorter, boom, impact to it. Well, love the show, and hope to keep hearing more from you. Thank you. Willie Nelson out.
First of all, I got to say thank you. A big thank you for calling in, Willie. We really appreciate hearing from you. And thank you for mostly backing me up. Yes, I am still learning the lore. I really am. But I'm having a ton of fun learning it, even as old as I am. It's been really fun. Marvel's got a great thing going on. I can't believe that I did not really know about it or whatever. I blame my parents.
There's no bad time to get into comics, to get into the movies. Yeah, I'm letting you know that there's much like there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's, there's no bad way to get into comics.
Right. So I blame my parents. My parents never took me to the comic book store, so I had no idea. But now with the internet and everything, we're all good. And my son, Sandrock, he's delving into the stuff that's interesting to him, which is great. I like it. I want to point out one thing, though. I'm not wrong to call the end credit scene shawarma. That's actually Wing. He is the one who's wrong, and he has dictated for the entire Gonna Geek network that we have to call it shawarma. So if there's anybody that's wrong about that, that's him. Now,
and as we've established, Wing is wrong about many things.
Now, if there's anything that I am wrong about there is that we as a network are following Wing and calling it shawarma. So
who's the greater fool, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Right. So, Willie, call back anytime. We really appreciate it. We love hearing from you, and we love hearing from any of our listeners. So go ahead, give us a call and tell me more of why I'm wrong. And in this case, I don't think I'm convinced. I'm not proven I'm wrong.
Starpie is Wing's being wrong Padawan.
Well, hopefully you two could change that. Switch me over to the good side. All right. So we have not as much news as last week, but still a substantial part of news. And we're coming up on the TV season, so we got a lot of stuff going on. But the first thing we have is a little tidbit on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, the soundtrack is #1 on the Billboard charts.
Big surprise there. It's awesome.
A surprise to nobody who has heard it.
Now, I brought this up before. You have to go see the movie to fully enjoy the soundtrack, because if you're just listening to the soundtrack without context, you don't get quite as much oomph of it. And there's a friend of mine who got the soundtrack but has not been able to see the movie for personal reasons. And he is like, yeah, it's great, but I don't know why it's #1. I'm like, dude, see the movie, see the movie, see the movie, and you'll find out. So yes, it's awesome. The Awesome Mix 1 is awesome. Yay.
Everything is awesome, you might even say.
Everything is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Now that I've just said that, we're going to be sued by Lego. Great. So what about Henry Simmons? I've heard some news about him.
Yeah, Henry Simmons has been cast as Alfonso Mack McKenzie in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He plays a repairman type character that's going to be helping out the agents this season.
I've heard that Mac is actually based in comic lore.
Yes, actually. He originated in Brian Michael Bendis' Alias comic, which is all about probably my favorite character ever, Jessica Jones, who's getting her own series on Netflix. So it's going to be interesting to see how Mac McKenzie is going to differ here from how he did in that comic, which I've been meaning to reread.
They've been keeping, for the most part, they've been keeping to the general spirit, at least, of the comics. So, with characters anyway. We'll see. You're right. There could be some differences and some not so differences. And another television hero, or television veteran at least, I've also heard that Kyle MacLachlan, also known as Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks and Paul Atreides from the David Lynch Dune. And he's been in like everything else, but those are like the two things that I know him most from. Oh, he was on the TV screen here for Desperate Housewives for a season or two.
I have never watched that show.
You have not missed anything.
This is what I've heard.
Well, he's going to be playing Sky's father this season.
Yes.
That is interesting.
They haven't said like who his character's supposed to be beyond that, but he will have a recurring role.
He replied to a tweet I made once. I was so happy.
Oh, yeah? Do you remember what it was about?
I do, actually. He was like on a road trip across Texas, and he stopped at a Buc-ee's, which Buc-ee's, for those of you who don't know, is this big like gas station chain here in Texas that sells food, and it's ridiculously good snacks and things like that. And they have this one snack food that I'm really fond of that I brought to a group meetup at one point called Beaver Nuggets.
I remember that.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good. I love them. They're like my kryptonite. I mean, Superman doesn't eat kryptonite, so I guess that's not really a good comparison. But it was reported in the local paper that he had tweeted about Buc-ee's, since apparently Buc-ee's is a huge enough thing that somebody making a mention of it gets reported. So I found that tweet where he posted a picture of himself at Buc-ee's and said, "Next time you pass by, try the Beaver Nuggets." And then a few hours later, he said, "Thanks, I will." And I just looked at it. I'm like, Wadib tweeted me.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. That's great. Moving on, we have some butlerage.
Yes, we do. Edwin Jarvis, who was Howard Stark's butler, will be appearing in Agent Carter. He was also the inspiration for the Jarvis AI that Tony uses.
This is going to be fun.
It is.
Because
I miss Jarvis.
If Stark's butler is in there, we're probably going to get Stark. And I hope they can get, what's his name?
Dominic Cooper.
Yeah, Dominic Cooper back. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like they are still in negotiations on that as of the panel that we're about to listen to. But it could end up being a big coup because we'll talk about it later because it deals with the panel, but that's exciting news.
Yeah, for all those who don't know, Edwin Jarvis is basically the Avengers' Alfred, and he is completely awesome.
He is. He's actually really closely tied to the origin of Ultron and the Vision in the comics.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to start reading up on that because that's the next big movie coming out.
And they were saying that it would be cool if they got Paul Bettany to play him.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I don't recommend reading the Age of Ultron arc because it was just a huge disappointment to me.
All right.
But you got to admit, the name itself is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what wasn't a big disappointment? Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
And to celebrate that, Marvel did something special for our very own James Gunn.
Yes, they did. For his birthday, they gave him an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
The Power Stone, to be specific.
That's good.
They based the design more on the comic, so it was red.
Hope he doesn't open it.
It came pre-opened. It looks like, oh, that's pretty. It's very shiny.
Yeah, the article says, they should maybe make these so I can buy them.
They need to make a frickin' dancing Groot first.
Well, they're
And
making
also-
one. You just can't afford it.
That's true. We
Well,
talked about that
apparently, I
once.
can't remember if I've mentioned this before or not, but I can't remember his name right now. It's Ryan something or other, and he goes by Agent M on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Said that apparently they've been in talks for months about making a baby dancing Groot. So hopefully, the huge outcry will mean that we will eventually get a dancing baby Groot.
I can't imagine them passing up this wonderful
know.
marketing opportunity. I mean, everybody wants it. Well, give us Groot, and we are giving you money. I've got my wallet right here. I'm going to take out some cash, and I'm going to throw it at the screen right now.
I'm looking at another picture of dancing baby Groot right now on the sidebar, and it's just cute beyond words.
Give me my Groot. Oh, whoops. Some of the money went down behind the monitor. Oh, well. Okay.
You'll find that when you dust.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool. What was this for? Oh, yeah, dancing Baby Groot. Okay.
It'll be a pleasant surprise.
Right. So more on Guardians 2 and James Gunn. He actually spoke a little bit more. He's giving us little tidbits all the time. This is great.
Ooh.
I know. He's kind of like Moffat. He has to talk every week. He said that they have already planned out who Star-Lord's father is going to be, and it's not the same person that it was in the comics.
Ooh.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And he says there's like 2 or 3 people that have had notes and stuff passed around about it.
Interesting.
So, small club, keeping that one a secret.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in the part of the comics that I read, his dad was dead, so good to see that he's still alive.
Yeah, in the comics that I'm currently reading, his dad's alive and a tremendous dick.
Well,
So
they mentioned that in the movie. That guy's a dick.
he is.
All right.
And then he also said that Thanos will only appear in Guardians 2 if it serves the story.
Okay. Did it say who the big evil bad guy was going to be?
They haven't yet, but he did say that Thanos is not the most important thing in Guardians 2.
Well, it could be like Empire Strikes Back, and the most important thing was that the Millennium Falcon kept breaking down.
It's not fair.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I could see the Milano giving up since they just put it back together. Yeah, I could see that. So we also get a little insight into another supposed upcoming Marvel movie, Inhumans.
I'm pretty excited about this.
Yes.
Joe Robert Cole, who is one of Marvel's in-house writers, has done a script for an Inhumans movie, and they have said that they do plan to do it as one of their Phase 3 movies in one of the dates that they slated out earlier this year.
And you're postulating that possibly being May of 2017.
That's where I'm guessing they would put it, but I don't know if they'd want it, because they've also said they're going to do Thor 3, so that gives them like a pretty good run of weird and kind of cosmic stuff.
Into Avengers 3.
Or if Avengers 3 is later than that.
Mm-hmm. True.
But if it's something they've already got a script for, and I haven't heard anything about scripts for anything else, then I would think it's going to be happening pretty soon.
I would think that Marvel would have done some sort of, I don't know, market research and figured out when people would start tiring of superhero on Earth movies and needing to go into the strange, even stranger, I guess, would be the, no pun intended with Doctor Strange, but I could see them wanting to do that just to keep the box office numbers coming in. And of course, DC is going to be coming in about that same time with their movie runs, and who knows whether it's going to be good or not. Of course, we're all postulating that Marvel's got them beat, but who knows when we actually see it.
I bet DC's going to go dark and gritty with theirs, so it might be a good time for Marvel to do, just weird and lighthearted.
As long as it's funny, because Guardians of the Galaxy was funny, and that made it work. That in the movie, in
not
the music.
necessarily even like trying for funny, just fun.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
But then Vin Diesel also said on his Facebook page, I get the strange feeling that Marvel thinks I'm Inhuman. Haha. So people have been saying maybe he's going to play Black Bolt.
I'm surprised
that would be pretty cool.
Didn't say, I am Groot.
But
He's
it would be funny.
Had enough of saying that.
He goes from playing a character where we only hear his voice, we don't see him, to playing a character where we only see him and don't hear his voice.
Yeah. That would be pretty,
That way both of his talents are used in separate movies. Better bang for the buck for him. Literally. I mean, more money for him, more royalties. Well, talking about our diverse movies upcoming, there was a little term thrown around this week called diversity unicorn.
Yeah, so look at all the movies we've had so far. They've all been led by white men. You look at all the movies that are slated in the near future that we know about, also all led by white men. So when Comic Book Resources did their review of the movie, the guy that wrote it said, it was mostly a glowing review. He couldn't really make up things that he had a problem with since he didn't. But he had one sentence in there. While it's a little disappointing that a movie with such an eclectic cast still has a handsome white male as its lead, it's hard to take issue with Chris Pratt's actual performance. And that was just taken as an insult to white men everywhere, I guess. Because he had a reply on his Facebook page that said, "Why is this disappointing? Star-Lord is white. It's that simple. And he's the only white guy on a very diverse team of aliens. So while I get that CBR feels the need to stroke the mane of the diversity unicorn to appease someone, that statement seemed completely out of left field."
Yeah. Lauren, did you have a chance to read this beforehand?
I just finished reading it right now.
Okay. Your thoughts?
Okay. I saw Guardians for the second time
So jealous.
about a week ago. Well, I had some friends in town that hadn't seen it, so I had to do the neighborly thing and take them to go see it.
What a
You
bullet
did.
to take.
Yeah. And this time, while, yes, I was also paying attention to more details in the background, like I noticed some more things in the collector's, little hangout, things like that. You also, when you're paying less attention to, ooh, shiny, what's coming up next, you also do start to notice glaring things. And one of the big things that just always bugs me is that in a universe as diverse as Marvel is, with just, such richness of characters to choose from, that we have gotten just such a limited amount of main characters in terms of what they look like and who they're acted by. We've gotten some really good diversity in terms of the supporting characters, yes, but the actual main character continues to be just like same guy.
Now, would you consider Nick Fury to be a supporting character?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
The movie is not called Nick Fury. The movie's called Captain America. The movie's called Iron Man. The movie's called Thor.
And then in Avengers, if you were going to list the top 3 actors, you would say Iron Man, Captain America, Thor.
Pretty much. I mean, you might throw Hulk in there, but yeah. I mean, it's same
3 white
difference.
guys and a green guy?
Yeah, same difference. Yeah.
Well, he's only green sometimes. And when he's not, he's another white guy. But when I was little, I used to notice there were like no Hispanics on TV. I'm Mexican American. And whenever I would watch a show that had like a team, if there were any women on it, it was always only one girl. It's, the Smurfette principle.
Right.
Because there can only be the one girl. And X-Men was the first show that really changed that up for me. There was more than one girl on the team. There was this whole richness of people to choose from so that I didn't have to, if I was going to find somebody to identify with, only identify with the girl, or else beat some guy up so that I could be playing Raphael when we played Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how I broke my leg, by the way, because he was like, no, you're the girl, you have to be April. And I'm like, haha, no, punch.
Good life choices.
Yeah. Well, until I broke my leg, yeah. But that's that same kind of thing now. For all that Marvel is trying to introduce these really awesome side characters, it hasn't so far done anything special with the main characters. And I don't think that pointing that out is such a revolutionary thing to say.
No, but I think Marvel is going to have to bend to the diversity of the planet pretty soon. I mean, you're just going to have so many, 44% females went to go see Guardian, at least on the opening weekend. I don't know what the number is now, but the demographics the first weekend were 44% females saw the movie. So, okay.
Yeah, you can't really have that stereotype in the past, like however many years, of the average comic book reader is a teenage white boy still living at home. The average comic book reader is just, a person. It's guy, girl, gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. It's just somebody who likes comics. And with the internet, it's easier than ever to get access to comics without having to, go through the whole gatekeeper effect that you'll find at a lot of comic book stores.
That's true.
Right. And you have to ask how much of this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If most of your characters are going to be white men, of course most of your audience is going to be white men.
Well, not even necessarily, because people have been kind of trained over the course of pretty much the history of film and stories, mostly, to see white male protagonists in the U.S., in Western literature, I should say, as the default.
Right.
Like, there's stories I've heard of people who've gone to film school who'll submit a script where the main character is something other than that, and the instructor will hand it back and say, can you just change this to guy or whatever? Couldn't relate to it.
Yeah.
So if you have that going on, then it's kind of no wonder that, people aren't being told that they can identify with people other than what's been the default for generations.
At least it has been going in the right direction. I won't say that they're there now, but in the Cap 2, you had Hill and you had Black Widow. In this movie, you have Gamora, and okay, you have Nebula, but Gamora was the real female protagonist. So at least they're, and Nova Prime, but at least they're heading into the right direction. It's not like Star Wars where you have maybe 2 women on the Rebel Alliance in the entire film and no female Jedis or whatever. So it's going in the right direction. And that's just male female. I mean, you have how many races do we have on this planet? Okay, let's start tapping into that.
They have the characters there. They just need to pick the ones that are going to help add diversity to their universe when they're deciding what movies they want to make.
Mm-hmm. And I think Marvel has enough clout that they're able, as long as they make the movie fun, anybody's going to go see it.
Yeah. Like, seriously, with Ant-Man, I honestly don't have much of an interest in Ant-Man, but I'm going to go see it because it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's hard to argue now, especially after Guardians.
Also because apparently Cassie Lang is going to be in it.
Once again, you need to go to Legends Podcast and listen to all the crow they ate over Guardians of the Galaxy. Last thing I'll say about that. Okay, so moving on with possible movies that do go diverse, there are, with Sony at least, contenders for a female lead Spidey film.
Right. A couple of the comic book websites, Comic Vine and Comic Book Resources, each put together a list of who they think potential leads for the new female Spider-Man movie would be. The obvious ones at the top for both lists were Silver Sable, who I told you last week I had no idea about her, Spider-Woman, and Black Cat.
You remember her?
Yeah, I remember Silver Sable from the animated series.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember much about her, but I remember her.
Same here. I don't remember anything.
They could just do a female Spider-Man. I mean, there was Mayday Parker, who is Spider-Man's daughter, Spider-Man Mary Jane's daughter from an alternate universe. There's Aranya, who is a female Spider-Man from an alternate dimension. There's Spider-Woman. There's a clone of Peter Parker who's female in Ultimate Universe.
They said there's also a Gwen Stacy Spider character that could be from an alternate universe if they chose to do that.
Yeah. Or they could do like they did in the Ultimate Universe and bring her back as Carnage.
That would be
awesome.
Hilarious if Sony was the first one out of the block with a female-led superhero film and not Marvel or Warner Brothers. That would just be hilarious.
I mean, just looking at the movies that Marvel's planning to do in the near future, if Sony does this by 2017, I think they're going to be first.
Yeah, because Wonder Woman's not projected until, 2018 or something. So, yeah, that would be interesting. You go, Sony. Beat the big boys to the box office. That's great. We also have some, I don't know if you'd call it news or not, but interest at least about Luke Cage.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Terry Crews has said if they asked him, he would be very much interested in playing the part. And he's said it several times. They haven't actually asked him to play yet, but he really wants to. And he's got the right look for it, definitely.
He does.
I wonder, do they do a casting call with a role like that? I know they did with Thor.
I would imagine that they would.
Yeah. Just saying you want, I guess, by saying you want to, then maybe you get to go in and read for it? I don't know. Well, I have no idea how that works, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, but he does movies and he's on some TV shows already, so it would have to work with the schedule that he has, but they haven't announced a date for the Luke Cage series yet. So it's probably a ways into the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think Isaiah Mustafa, you remember the Old Spice guy? The man your man could smell like? I think he was also interested in the part.
That could work. I don't know. I like Terry Crews better as, yeah. Terry Crews has more of a, street enforcer look to him, though.
Yeah, but he is a little bit old for the part, though. I mean,
True.
Depending on how old they cast everybody else, I would say since they cast Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, it seems like they're going for kind of a early to mid 30s kind of area for those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go. The younger you go, the more shelf life you have. Like Stephen Amell over at Arrow, very, very young. Of course, he's
also there's less risk of people being horribly injured because it's getting a lot harder to recover from stuff that I used to just walk off when I was a teenager.
Yeah, right.
Harrison Ford that dropped a door on his foot.
Yeah, but there was somebody in some TV show that broke their leg. Oh, it was Big Bang Theory with what's her name? The actress that plays Penny. She actually broke her leg in real life falling off a horse, and they had to rechange the entire the entire season, so that she was always hidden behind like a bar. She couldn't waitress anymore. She was a bartender.
The same thing happened to Kit Harington in the most recent season of Game of Thrones. He hurt his leg and they had to redo the whole shooting schedule.
They had like a body double for his butt or something like that. Because, they couldn't have, naked Jon Snow with a big old leg cast.
And it was really funny with Big Bang Theory because there was one scene where she had to go storm off, and they actually brought in a body double because there's no way that she was going to be storming off like she did at that point in time. And everybody's going to, 10 years from now, who cares? But it was kind of fun. So I was thinking, when I was growing up, I wasn't anywhere in the LA area. Most of the production for TV and movies were happening in LA at that point in time. There was never this much attention to upcoming series or movies or anything like that where I was. I'm wondering if there was in LA because there's just so much going on. We're talking about a new slate full of stuff. I mean, take a look at Cap 3. We're talking about the screenwriters getting interviewed.
I think probably these interviews were happening and it was just showing up in like trade journals and stuff. But now with the internet, everyone can see it all.
Like Variety or whatever it was. What was that newspaper in LA? I think it was Variety, wasn't it?
I think it was Variety, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I don't remember if I've mentioned it before, but one of the last times we went to my in-laws, my mother-in-law gave us a copy of an old, it wasn't Starlog, it might have been Star. It was an old sci-fi magazine from, and it's one that's still running, so it might have been Starlog, but it was from 1979, I think, 78, 79.
So Star Wars had already come out.
Yeah, Star Wars had come out, but they were like guessing all about, well, what's the sequel going to be about? And here's the casting rumors that we heard about. And here's just reading about the guessing and stuff of what they thought was going to be going on and talking with the people who did special effects for some show that I've never heard of. So presumably it got canceled in its first season and talking about Battlestar Galactica, the actual, which is why she kept the magazine.
Yeah, the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Which, if you ever go back and rewatch it, it's tough to get through.
I tried. I couldn't make it.
I did just because I was, interested. I had seen it before and it was like, oh, this is nostalgia. But I also tried Sequest DSV and
I like that one.
Yeah, I know. Me too. But I got into like in between the second and third season when they did the complete change. And I was like,
whenever they change a show's concept that radically, it's probably not going to be long for this world.
Right. But in any case, we're talking about Cap 3 screenwriters being interviewed.
Yes. There are a few questions they were getting. One was, would we see Sam Wilson take up the role of Captain America? And they said, it's a fantastic idea, but they would have to make it work in the movie universe. And whatever's going to happen in the movies tends to trail several years behind what's happened in the comics. So they like the idea, but it would have to work for the movie.
Does that mean in like Thor 4, we're actually going to get Princess Thor?
It would be pretty awesome.
If they ever did a reenactment of, and this is both Norse myth and they did, I think, a version of it in the comics of Thor cross-dressing so that he could get Mjolnir back from frost giants. And then Loki just kind of going along as like his handmaiden because it's Loki.
Because of course he did.
Because of course he did. No, it's a fantastic myth. It's just, and just some of the comics that I seen of, angry looking Thor in a dress behind a veil.
I just keep seeing that scene in my head from Thor 2 as they're walking down the hallway in the castle or whatever you want to call it, and their cosplay back and forth. I could see that. I could see Loki just having a ball just doing that.
Well, not Thor. Loki was a woman for a while. Chick Loki was the thing. There's Chick Loki, and then there was Kid Loki, and right now there's Teen Loki, or One Direction Loki, as some people call him.
There was also Frog Thor.
There was Frog Thor. Oh my God, I would love a Frog Thor movie. Do Frog Thor. Thor 3
I stumbled across an interview on Nerdist with Kermit the Frog where they asked him if he would take the role.
We're feeling a little bit of Kermit the Frog right now on Defiance, going back and forth between the cast, because it's been out that Sean has said that Doc Yule, who's the alien doctor on Defiance, has this unhealthy affection towards the dissected frog on her wall. So some fan actually put a dissected frog, Kermit the Frog, up on like a corkboard with felt, and he said, "Miss Piggy's gonna be mad." Yeah, I could see that here too.
Well, also in the same interview, they said they would really like to do MODOK, but they would have to find a way to do it that didn't look ridiculous.
That is the problem, because MODOK is like the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, there's in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I love when he first gets introduced and everybody's just so confused by him. And Thor is like, what the hell is this? It's like a giant head with a baby's arms. And they're just constantly making fun of him.
And that's in animation. Imagine
That's
it
in
live
animation.
action.
I mean, I honestly don't know how you would do it without just making the audience just laugh uncontrollably. Because for MODOK is, for those of you who don't know, basically a giant floating head with teeny little arms and legs sticking out.
I got a big head and little arms.
Tiny little arms. And that is exactly what MODOK is. And he is the mechanical organism designed only to kill. And then there's been just wonderful joking ripoffs of that, like the MODOK, which is the mechanical organism designed only to kill MODOKs.
Oh,
and various other... It's just ridiculous.
Well, maybe we'll get that in Cap 4.
Of course, then again, I thought that when I heard they're going to do Zola, I was like, oh my god, that's going to be also ridiculous, because Zola is basically like Krang from Ninja Turtles, but no, they did a good job.
They pulled it off. You know, I wonder if the Cap 3 screenwriters are writing their script in Groot speak.
Well, they could write it in English and have it translated to Groot speak now.
Oh, they can?
Yeah, there's a button you can add to translate any website into Groot speak.
That is amazing.
I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Your Groot is Russian.
You can translate Russian sites into Groot as well.
That is... Does it write it in Cyrillic?
I mean, you got to figure there's different dialects of Groot. Anyway, yeah, we don't have a dancing baby Groot yet.
Oh.
But you can make your own.
Yeah.
I want to.
And there's a YouTube video of a guy that did just that with one of the cheap little dancing flowers you can get off of eBay. And then he, cosplayed it as Groot.
If only I had a 3D printer.
You can do hand sculpting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm an engineer.
You could hire somebody to do hand sculpting.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can. It'd be cool. So yeah, that looks like a great idea, and I might go with it if we don't actually get an affordable Baby Groot, because I ain't paying $350 or $60 for one, that's for sure.
Yeah, Hot Toys Baby Groot.
You pay $360 to get the other two, like, really expensive statues and get your little free Groot with it, and then just toss those.
Yeah, right. Who cares about these?
All this junk. Where's my dancing Groot?
You know, a lot of people really aren't caring about Ant-Man, but I'm telling you, Peyton Reed is really on it.
Yeah,
somebody has to be.
Somebody's really excited about it.
He did an interview about it. He mentioned that we're going to see Scott Lang's daughter,
Cassie,
as part of the film. He also talked a little bit about the relationship between the older Ant-Man, Henry Pym, and the younger Ant-Man, Scott Lang. So we've got that link in our videos at the end. We've also got several Guardians of the Galaxy videos. One's one of those behind the scenes that they've been putting out pretty much every week. And then we've got an interview with Vin Diesel where he talks a little bit about what it was like to play Groot. And he talks about how he had like a 50-page script when he went into the recording studio. Because, every time he said, I am Groot, it meant something different. So he had to convey that when he was doing his performance.
Hodor.
And then the last of our Guardians videos is an interview with Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana. They just talked a little bit about what it was like to do the movie and all the press stuff they've been doing, and how they were kind of surprised by the news of Guardians 2, just like the rest of us were, because they were, doing the whirlwind press tour at that point. And then they talk about how they've got just enough time pretty much to do the next Guardians movie, because 3 years is probably about how long it takes to do all the pre-production and the post-production and the actual shooting of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've been trickling out more of the Captain America Blu-ray bonus features as well. We got another featurette. This one's mostly about Anthony Mackie as Falcon, and another deleted scene, which is more of an extended scene from when the Black Widow is releasing all the information onto the internet. They talk a little bit more about what information about her might be released.
That will be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially since we were conjecturing about that during the second half of the season after the movie came out, about what was known and what was not known, specifically about Agent Coulson.
Right. And then our very last link in the news section is potentially spoiler-filled. It's a link from Collider about Season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They've got a little bit of the footage from shooting, and look at that if you're prepared for spoilers, but we're not going to talk about it on the cast because some people don't want to hear it. But it's there in our show notes if you want to see it.
Don't spoil me. Don't spoil me. Haven't seen the rest of Arrow Season 2. Okay.
Quit crossing the streams.
A little joke there from Starling Tribune. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the news this week. We're going to move on to, I guess, something that was in the news a couple of weeks ago now. It's Sadie. We're just getting around to it now. We talked about it last time where we had a lot of stuff happening all at the same time. We weren't able to cover it. So we're going to go back and do some retrospectives on some of the San Diego Comic-Con news. And
we're going to give it the attention it deserves.
Yeah, especially this one, because we're talking about today the San Diego Comic-Con Agent Carter panel from SDCC 2014. And it was not a lot of news came out of it, but there was definitely a tone that came from it. So we're going to go ahead, and we've gotten a hold of some audio from the panel. We're going to play the audio, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. You guys ready for the audio?
Oh, yes.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Are there any fans here of a show called Reaper? Are there any fans here from the show called Resurrection? Well, two of our executive producers and the gals that are actually going to be running the show are Tara Butters and Michelle Fazekas, and they're coming out right now. Now I'm going to ask you a really hard question because of this panel. Is there anybody in this room who has seen Captain America: The First Avenger? Who has seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier? Well, there are two guys who are responsible for writing both films and for creating the character of Agent Carter, and they are Chris Marcus and Stephen Feely, and they are executive producers, and they have written a pilot for the show. None of this here, us, what we're doing, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would happen without a gentleman who is the co-president of the studio. He's the director of the Marvel one-shot, which was called Agent Carter, which was the inspiration for where he did this. And he's Lou Esposito. And now, let's just face it, we did come here to see all these lovely folks, and to see me, and to learn all about Avenger, but if I had to place a bet, my bet would be that the person that you really came here to see was, ladies and gentlemen, the incredibly talented, the incredibly lovely, and the unbelievably kick-ass hero of our story, and that is Haley Atwell. So I think I'll start with Tara and Michelle. How did you guys get involved with Marvel and with this particular show?
Well, we were running Resurrection first season and wrapped up, and ABC came to us and said, "Hey, we have this thing called Agent Carter. Would you be interested in getting involved with it?" And we didn't even have to think about it. It was kind of a dream come true. And then Resurrection did really well, and so we thought, oh, well, I guess we'll go back to Resurrection and not do Agent Carter. And then ABC said, hey, can you do both? So we said yes. And being here today, I think we made an excellent choice.
Chris and Steven, what's it like? I mean, you guys create a character or bring a character from the pages of comic book to the big screen, all the way back in 2009 when I actually had hair. So now, what's going on? What's that like as creators, and then to suddenly see your creation live on?
We're like proud parents. No, seriously, we keep trying to kill her, and she went out. It's very gratifying because in the first Avenger, we set up all these characters that we really love, particularly Peggy Carter, and then Steve had the nerve to freeze himself for 70 years. We couldn't bring anybody back for the second movie except very old Peggy who couldn't get out of bed. So having this show is this great opportunity to go back and mine this really rich territory that we never got a chance to play with.
Yeah, I mean, it occurs to us that, Peggy Carter has been in, say, a half hour of a 2-hour first Avenger movie, and she's been in 12 minutes of a really good one-shot. And in the pilot, she will have equaled her entire time on screen of the Marvel Universe. That's a really cool opportunity, because there's just plenty for us to do, let alone in an 8-episode series.
Louis, you had the pleasure of directing Haley and in the one shot. What's it like working with the next superstar on television?
It's very difficult. She's the greatest. She's such a talented actress. We knew we had something special when Kelly came in for casting on Captain America, the First Avenger. I couldn't contain my excitement when she walked in to meet us. I think she could tell by my smile that she got the part. And myself, Joe Johnson, Kevin Feige, and Steven, we knew right away we had the goods.
She's a rock star. And speaking of that, Haley, what does she mean to you? What goes on in your head when you think about? And what happened when you read? Because I was there the day that they handed you the script for the first episode.
I was locked in the room and I couldn't leave until I finished reading.
She did. We put her on lockdown.
Yeah.
And you read the script for the first time, and you had a couple of concerns before you read the script, but then you read it, and what happened?
Well, the exciting thing with Peggy is that I don't feel like we've even touched the size of the adventures that she can have and the powers that she has. So it was great to do Captain America 1 and then play her obviously as an old lady in 2 and then do the one shot. But I feel like there's still so much that's unexplored, and so the pilot, the first episode that I've read, is just the beginning of what is going to be an incredible opportunity for her to develop as a human being as well as this kind of super spy. We see the kind of cost psychologically and emotionally on someone who's having to take on such extreme pressure and stress in her life and yet still hold it together. So it's going to be really exciting.
So, rather than just talking a little about it, we haven't started shooting. The writer's room is going to open shortly. And for those of you that don't know, the story takes place in what year? 1946. The war is over, Steve is gone, and Peggy is trying to pick up the pieces of her life. What's kind of fascinating, and we'll talk about this a lot during this hour, is that there's stuff that's going on in S.H.I.E.L.D. present day, but we have this incredible opportunity to be able to show you and tell you the story of what went on at the very beginning and how Peggy's dream and Peggy's concerns about what the world should be and how to make the world a better place is so many of the themes that we'll be working on with this show. But rather than just talk about it, you guys want to see a little something that we have another surprise along the way, and that's one of the great parts about doing this with someone like Louis is that this is really a true partnership between Marvel Television and Marvel Studios, the folks that are bringing you, this little movie that's about to open called Guardians of the Galaxy. And Louis, you're directing the first episode, but we do have a little bit of exciting news that there's some other creative filmmakers that are thinking about coming on board. And can you tell the folks a little bit about that?
Well, my deal hasn't been signed yet, but I'll set this up. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to tell you things that I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to say that. The directors from Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Joe Russo and Anthony Russo. Second and third episode they'll be directing.
And if you had a wish list, just a wish list. I'm not saying that these things are going to happen.
I just got off the phone with him. I just spoke to Joe Johnston, and he wants to do the fourth episode.
Joe directed
the first Captain America. And if the schedule works out, that'll be the first 4 directors.
You know, it's a pretty extraordinary group of people. It's going to be an amazing show. It starts in 2015. I think we have just a little bit of time for a couple questions from the audience. Do we have the light somewhere? I can't see anything. There it is. Oh, look! It's Peggy Carter.
As a female who wants to be a cop, I'm really excited about how accurately Peggy Carter is portrayed in her military role. Is that praise that you got? Were you expecting that? And is that going to influence the show?
I think so.
Sorry, say it again. What's going to influence the show?
The accuracy of her military role, because just the way she handles herself is pretty accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got a fantastic research team on board just to make sure that every reference that we make is somehow backed up with authenticity, so we know what we're talking about. We've seen a little bit about her military background in the first and second one, and we'll explore that further as we go along. But that's also kind of my job as well, to make sure that I make her as accurate as I possibly can so that she's relatable to modern audiences.
Thank you. Do we have another question? Do we have another Peggy Carter? We do.
I know this show's going to be about Peggy mostly, but I was wondering if Dominic Cooper is going to make a return as Howard Stark.
I can speak for everyone here that would be fantastic if that could happen. Next question from, I guess, the next Peggy Carter.
It's a question for Tara and Michelle. We've seen Peggy in very male-dominated worlds when she's working and serving. Will there be any other prominent female characters in the series?
We hope so. We actually have plans that we probably couldn't disclose to you, but yeah, I think certainly if you saw the one shot, much of the sort of dramatic tension comes from the fact that she is a woman working in a man's world after the war and after all the men have come home. But there are other women in that world too who are just as powerful, both good and bad, that we hope to see.
I think we have time for one more question and one more Peggy Carter. Oh.
My question is to Haley. I was wondering how it feels to play such a strong female character, like in a comic universe where it's full of strong male heroes.
Oh, that's a great question. It feels a privilege. It's a very rare opportunity for me, for someone who's been working on stage and in television in the UK, to get a part on a kind of commercial global scale of something like this Marvel franchise, to also be portraying a woman who on the page I look up to as well. And when I was a little girl, there were parts like Peggy in lots of films and lots of things that I saw on television that I wanted to aspire to be to. So it's a great kind of huge bonus to be able to play someone like hopefully young women will look up to as role model.
Secrets that we want to spill. What I'd like you to do is give a great big round of applause.
I think the biggest star of that panel was definitely Haley.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
They made no bones about it. Of course, she was the only person cast that was out there, but
That too.
they pulled out every single other big gun that they had from behind the scene. The writers, the directors, the producers. They're saying, this is a big deal. Matter of fact, this might actually be bigger than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think it's more anticipated.
Yeah, probably. What I noticed of the panel was we were talking about it before, and I wanted to bring it up back then, but it felt, let's talk about it after the panel. There were several questions about females and how they are in the minority, basically, the Marvel Universe, and how Haley as Agent Carter has a great opportunity to come show some of those boys off. And they were talking about other females that might be cast in those types of roles, either villains or heroines. And they said, well, yeah, that'd be great. And then they kind of just said, well, part of the premise is we're trying to do like a Madman sort of vibe. At least that's what I got from it. So I'm like, really? Here we go again.
Yeah.
I wonder if they mean Mad Men in that it's going to be a well-done period piece.
Possibly. I've never actually seen Mad Men, so I was just throwing that out there as a trope.
It's really good.
No, I kind of got that same general idea of, woman in a man's world, at least at first, which I think we got enough of, honestly, from the short.
Yeah, the one shot.
Yeah, basically, I just want to see Haley Atwell kicking ass and building S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think we're going to see that.
I know. I'm trying not to expect any more than that. Keep my expectations low, and I will never be disappointed.
If we're going to see them building S.H.I.E.L.D., what do we need? We need a young Stark, Howard Stark. We need Fury, and we need Agent Carter, really.
Well, no, we probably wouldn't see Fury that early on.
At what point in time do you think he gets brought into the S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, if this is happening 70 years ago, they said it was going to be in 1946.
Right after the war.
So that's 68 years before present day.
Yeah, and I don't think this universe is one in which Nick Fury has also been put on ice.
And had, whatever time or age-defying serums pumped into him.
Yeah.
But I know that in First Avenger, it says that Tommy Lee Jones's character, whose name I'm currently blanking out on, was also a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't think we're going to be able to get Tommy Lee Jones. So
you don't think he's in the TV budget?
I don't think so. So I'm betting that if they have any involvement, it'll be like telegrams or phone calls or something.
I don't know. They're big about the cameos, so I could see a Tommy Lee Jones cameo at some point in time.
Maybe in
but we would only get him in a single episode.
Yeah, and maybe even in just a single scene. Yeah, kind of like Stan Lee. Yeah, that would be interesting.
They did announce who the first 4 directors were going to be.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. All big hitters from really the Captain America universe. For the first Captain America film, the second Captain America film, the one shot, and the writers of the pilot episode are the executive producers from those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me happy. Also, I did not realize that I think the producers, those 2 women, that they were also on Reaper, which I loved. The showrunners, I guess.
Yeah, Resurrection.
I only knew that because I saw their names when I looked them up for that.
So, Haley, what else did you like from the panel?
Well, they did say that there are going to be powerful women, both good and bad, as part of the show, which could be really good.
Yes.
Lauren, what was your big take from the panel?
I liked the never-ending parade of Peggy Carters coming up to ask questions.
Peggy Carter, and the next Peggy Carter, and the next Peggy Carter.
I was hoping that one of them would be somebody cross-playing, like a dude cross-playing as Peggy Carter.
Oh, that would have been fantastic.
That would have been amazing if we had a couple come up and there's a femme Captain America and a dude Peggy Carter.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been great. That would have been just a great cap to it or something.
Oh, yeah.
Cap. See what I did there.
What a knee slapper. Yay.
But no, I love that because I've been to a couple of cons this year, and I think I've seen a Peggy Carter at every one.
Now, what would you define a Peggy Carter cosplay as?
It's the hair, the brown pencil skirt, the jacket that she wears, and the gun. Oh, and the lipstick. The lipstick is very important.
It's pretty fantastic lipstick.
It is fantastic. I want that lipstick.
Do we know what it's called?
Actually, yes. There is a blog, Hello Taylor, where one of the writers' projects is watching superhero movies and talking about what you can tell about the characters by their costumes. And apparently there was this shade that was really popular in World War II, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was the specific shade of red. And I think that was what Peggy was supposed to be wearing.
I'm not a connoisseur of lipsticks, so I would be no help at this point in time. Matter of fact, I had to tell my kids today that I had no fashion sense whatsoever, and they said, yes, we know.
Yes, we know.
Yes. You've seen me. So, this is a very short panel. It's 12 minutes or so. They showed some videos, which obviously we couldn't get any audio from, because if you've ever been to a con or whatever, when they start showing this stuff, you have to stop recording. They tell you to stop recording. And then they have the Nazis going up and down the aisleways. So, nope, you can't get video of anything. At least not. You could covertly, but you can't open. Like, if you had a big DSLR with a big audio package on it, there's no way that you're going to get it. But it was pretty short, but they haven't started filming it, and it sounded like they really haven't had the real final scripts from the first few episodes done, not at this point in time, too. So, and obviously,
I thought I remembered them saying they hadn't even started writing yet.
Yeah, right. And so you've got not much except for just plain pure excitement going on. And with all the big names that they were showing us, that's what I'm saying, that Marvel is obviously excited about this, and they're pouring a lot of effort into it. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the end product.
Yep. And I did like a rough calculation. It looks like it's going to probably premiere in the first week of December.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think we're supposed to get 10 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D., then the 8 of Agent Carter, and then the last 12 of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're planning on taking a week off for Christmas, though.
Oh, they probably will on Christmas.
I would think Christmas and New Year's, like, take 2 weeks off there.
Yeah, I can't think of any other show that's actually gone through those 2 weeks, because everybody's just busy partying at that point in time. I mean, there's...
And traveling and...
Yeah, there's usually
just so much.
Yeah, there's usually a big movie out, which, for the life of me, I can't remember what the big one is. Is it going to be another Lord of the Rings or whatever, Hobbit movie?
Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this the last
Battle
one?
of 5 Armies. Yes. Oh, God.
Unless they decided to split it again.
Well, we would have heard that by now, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a lot of walking. A lot of walking.
No, this one, there's going to be a lot of dying.
Oh, God. I'm not ready.
Going to be a little Game of Thrones action going on.
They're all going to freaking die.
You think Abby, Aragorn's girl, is going to survive?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think she was thrilled with how many parts they split it into.
Yeah.
Perfectly understandable.
Right. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. We have just a few more weeks until season 2 of Agents S.H.I.E.L.D. comes up too.
It's coming so fast.
Yeah. We've got some things stacked up, ready to talk to you. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Avengers Age of Ultron panel at SDCC, and then some other things before we get to the actual season 2 premiere. It's just going to be a 1 hour premiere, right? We haven't heard about a special 2 hour premiere, right?
That's all I've heard.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, everything's subject to change. Do you guys got anything else for this week?
I don't think so.
Y'all out of notes, Wing? Well, thank you very much for joining us this week as we talked the Agent Carter San Diego Comic-Con panel and news. We really appreciate you listening to us.
We do.
And, we do have a voicemail line, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And I would suggest using it to call, because we have one entry so far into the badge giveaway. And I don't know, you guys think we should hold off and try to get some more voicemails?
I know you've been wrong more than one time, so I can't imagine why we aren't getting one.
If you need a list, Haley's been keeping one, apparently. I don't know. I don't have time to keep lists on other people. Okay. So
remember to call us at 844 the bus 1 844-843-2871 if you want that Coulson badge.
Yeah,
and since we've had one entry, I guess there goes my chance of going in and stealing it.
You could try.
We just got you out, Lauren. Come on.
Okay, so go to our website, legendsofshield.com. The upper right-hand corner has all the great ways to get in touch with us, including our voicemail line, Facebook, Twitter. And we also have forums. We are part of the GonnaGeek.com network. There's a lot of geeky shows on there. There's a Doctor Who podcast. There's a podcast about the DC Universe in Starling Tribune on the Arrow television show. There's podcasts on geeky stuff. There's just a whole bunch of stuff there. So go check it out. Sci-fi, comics, it's all there. So thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you. We will get back with you next week. And until then, I'm Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Haley.
I'm Lauren.
And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.